we go. I am improving my skills with all this Zoom and editing business, which is a nice side effect. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome. So we are in December. It's December the 10th, and we have a third gathering for the launch of Thin Places and Sacred Spaces, an anthology, which it has been an absolute pleasure to and privilege to curate and edit and put together and publish and launch into the world with your help. It's been a great pleasure to be present at our previous launches, and I'm so pleased that we're able to hold a third launch in December when everyone's busy, but still we're able to do this. So I've heard back from various contributors. Some people are just here to listen and enjoy, which is wonderful in itself. Others kindly offered to read, and I'm particularly pleased to make space for those who haven't yet been able to read at the launches, either through sheer numbers of people, of contributors, or for other circumstances, many and varied. So hopefully everybody will have a chance to read by the end of this hour. So I'm hoping to keep it to the hour, maybe go on a little bit, but not planning to overrun too much. But I would say if you really need to read and want to do it early, then please flag that up either by raising your hand electronically or in person, and I'll try and accommodate you. But all being well, the list of names that I've got and I've written down actually goes rather wonderfully through the sections of the anthology. So in a way, this is a kind of curated highlights, third time through highlights of the entire book, which I'm really happy about, actually. So we will start with the first section, Sacred Locations, and then we'll go through, and I've got at least one potential reader, theoretical reader, listed for every section, apart from the very last, actually. But we've got all 6 sections represented by contributors. So for people enjoying this reading in real time or in the recording, hopefully that really does help to give an overview of the anthology, which we perhaps weren't able to do quite so well in previous readings. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to keep it fairly casual, as always. The priority is to make space for people to read their wonderful poems. But if we find we have a little time at the end, I'm more than happy to chat poetry and Thin Places with you. And if you have a burning comment that you want to make, I trust you to jump in and make that at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. So we will proceed along those lines. And the first section of the anthology is Sacred Locations, where there are many, many wonderful poems. If we have people, I would like to call on Julie Sampson. I can see you're there, so that's lovely, to read your ridge songs, if you're happy to do that. Then I'd like to call on, if possible, Kathy Shea, to read a wonderful poem by Jacqueline Cudler, who has sadly passed away and is no longer with us. But Kathy, I think you knew the lady, and so it would be lovely to have you read her poem. I was sort of wanting to make space for it somewhere in the reading, so that's great. And then we'll move on to Catherine Clark Sales, if you're happy to read the guidebook Doesn't Read Theology, and then we'll move on to the next section. So let us start with our 3 poems from that first section. And Julie, if you would like to jump in and read yours first, that would be wonderful.
Oh, thank you very much, Sarah, and it's lovely to join you tonight. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join in the previous 2 sessions, and I think I explained to you that my husband was taken ill, so it's only now that I've been able to start returning to these sorts of events, so I'm a little bit unpracticed at the moment, but I'll have a go at reading. Would you like me to read these 2 short ones from here, Sarah?
Would you like to read? I've in my mind, I'd quite like to go through the anthology section by section. So if you don't mind reading the ridge songs and then your talking poem later on, that would be wonderful.
Course.
I've had a request from the in the chat box. If you don't mind reading reading out your page number, if you've got the anthology in your hand.
So this is page. This is page 17. It's 2 short songs, ridge songs, page 17 and page 18. Okay, so this is based in Devon, in Devon, a place called North Taunton in Devon, in England, where I was brought up. Ridge songs. Firs, once reaching high to sky, have tumbled in the latest gale. Not ridges, tree kids. Swallows today. We rock in the port of our boat and sail. Oh, how we sail away. We'll always be the kids who climbed complaining up Boucher's Hill, then escaping the dog and seeking Narnia, scrambled up the steep earth bank. The rooks scrawl, skydiving into our slip-away world, and now voices, shadow ghosts, their black bat wings in my mind. 2. High in the blue square of Skylight's window, where forgetting and memory intersect, bells rift with thistledown in wind, swallows loop home beyond before return. And far below, father slips delphiniums from the floral garden, and winter mist travelling over the ridge is the voice of Nematona, singing up the litanies of her holy breath. I forgot to say, Nematona is remembered as the Celtic goddess of sacred spaces, and she's associated with many places in mid-Devon.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Kathy, are you happy now to read?
Yes.
Anyway,
Now, this is a poem by Jacqueline Cudler, who lived in Sausalito, California, by San Francisco, and she was a very big influence on me and just countless people in our poetry community. I just adored Jackie, and we met a lot for free writes, and she was just an incredible person. Turning Away, Mount Olympus, Littleborough, Greece. After the morning saunter through Beechwood Forest, after a long, sweet swallow of spring water at the plateau of the Muses, the peak soars before us like a rising psalm, and the climb turns to sandstone, scattered with scree and great boulders, so that we step gentle, but firm now, from foothold to foothold, as herons do at the edge of the incoming tide. And then we stop. Ahead, the stone peak turns, sheer, brilliant, forbidding as a church spire, and the 100 yards of trail to the summit, a gamble with balance and gravity. Yes, of course, we hear their call, the gods from their earthly perch at the peak where stone meets sky. Live big, they bellow. Give it a shot. We look up at the trail ahead, dangling from the side of the stone wall between 1,000-foot drops. We look at each other for a moment without a word, and then we head south. Sometimes living big is turning away, you know. One glimpse of the gods, enough to light the trail all the way down.
yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that, Kathy. I love that the last couple of lines of that poem. They're one of sometimes they just lines will stay in the mind, and that one has for me. So lovely to hear it read. Okay, and Catherine Clark Sales, are you happy to read your guidebook poem? And I must, or if you've got the book open, just remind us what page.
This is from a long road trip I took driving from California to Colorado and then back through the Grand Canyon in Arizona,
Page
Mexico.
43, by the way. Sorry.
Page 40, yes.
43.
The guidebook does not speak theology. They empty me, flatten me, the deserts, Nevada, high and dusty gray with miles of asphalt running straight to the horizon so that 80 seems slow as caravans of 18-wheelers roll past. The long, blank reach of Utah salt flats, 100 miles of white where nothing grows and ifrits twirl above the alkali. Heat shimmer on the road ahead promises water which is never there. Needles, its crumbled black Mojave floor, brittle rough pumice, clumps of yucca lift bouquets of bladed leaves. High mesquite plains of Colorado, speckled distant cows, the constellation of irrigated emerald patches on the valley floor. A wagon might cross in weeks, a good day, 20 miles, and a spring of sweet water at the day's end. A bad day, 7 miles, loose sand and rock, broken axles, bitter water. I cross in hours in air-conditioned cushioned comfort. My radio spitting bits of prayer and bursts of mariachi sputters out somewhere past Elko. There is a blankness to long distance drives alone, where my mind can float like a hawk on a thermal, alert to road and traffic, disengaged, random thoughts flick by, the color of a roadside rock, the shape of cloud, an RV labeled leprechaun, a childhood memory of snow. My cooler of sodas and protein bars gives illusionary safety. Insufficiencies, doubt, the busy questions, should I, would I, could I, drift away. Stillness, restful absence of need. Great cathedrals know the secret of erasure and expansion, space shaped to make self small while spirit soars in a reach toward God. At Wolf Creek, the river runs, turning through the valley floor beneath walls of layered stone, red, pink, and gray, patches of gold where aspens start their autumn change. The road climbs, twisting, hairpins over a drop of 1,000 feet. Clouds touch down, blur the road with worrisome slickness. I'm compressed to mouse-like creeping near the top until the next valley opens out into Hallelujah. At Four Corners, I hopscotch through states: Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona. The racing jackrabbit does not carry papers, and the wind does not stop to check mine. Sign welcomes me, reminds me I am a guest on Ute Mountain, Ute land. All belonging is conditional. I turn to Highway 158, two flat stones stacked at the base of the sign. At the next junction, three stacked stones, two stones at the next turning. I follow someone's path. Asphalt runs straight to the horizon, not another car in sight. Near Chinley Wash, the plain spreads into miles of red, eroded sand, cut by dry arroyos. Cotton ball clouds pile up, stained pink in reflected light. Signs warn of danger when water is on the road. Every dozen miles, a roadside cross, small and white with faded plastic flowers, some new and crisp, some weathered back to wood. Miles apart, houses built for shelter, not status, small corrals with horses. The road twists higher to the rim of the world, Grand Canyon with its god names and vastness. I want to belong to this landscape, become transparent as glass, stained with the blue of high desert sky, the red of layered sandstone, become the purple of roadside asters. I want to taste pink clouds, wrap myself in the honey scent of a locust tree in Winnemucca, prance in Utah with the one black llama guarding a flock of sheep. Watch the rainbow sheen of trout in the current where the San Juan River starts. Time is written on pages of red sandstone, gray shales, and Vishnu schist. I travel roads carved through books of stone. Just now and forever, the first people climb into this world. Wagons cross deserts and high passes, mired in alkali and snow, and I am crossing with them. Even home in my bed, still, I drive the sandy washes, the great salt desert, watch ahead as the road disappears into heat shimmer and mirage. I cross mountains of aspen and pine, stand on Yavapai Point with the canyon spreading grandeur at my feet, and spirit reaches to take what is given.
There you are, you hear me now. Thank you so much, Catherine. That's wonderful. It's such a beautiful panoramic poem, so much in it. very grateful. Okay, sacred nature is the next section, and if Ken is here, Ken Coburn, yes, thank you. If you'd like to read your poem.
Thanks, Sarah. It's on page 71. I'm in Scotland, so it's a poem, Where Are the Birds Taking Me? So these are birds that I see here. Where are the birds taking me? More far than near, more guessed than known, more heard than seen. Their flight, their calls, their plumage. Bullfinch red, siskin yellow, black silk of a raven, salt white of a herring gull, the blue flash of a magpie's wing. As sudden as thought, as absent as forgetting. To apprehend them requires a focus on stillness, an apprehensive stillness, opening all the elsewheres the birds are taking us to.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Particularly thanks for representing the sacred nature section so aptly this evening. Okay. All right, so sacred architecture is actually quite a well represented section, and I think we've got time. What I'd like to do actually is open it by reading a poem by Alexandra Baez called The Chisel Riddles, which is in that section, which I thought was a wonderful poem when it was sent to me. Alexandra sadly passed away a few months ago. And I've never met her in person. We had a brief correspondence before that time. If anyone actually does know her and wants to read the poem, you're most welcome to read it. But otherwise, I would like to give it a place. And so I'll read it myself. And I've been practicing, and I just hope I can do it justice. So Alexandra's poem is on page 112. And I'm just going to scroll down and I'll read it from the screen. It's called The Chiseled Riddles, and it begins with a quote from St. Bernard of Clairvaux. What is the meaning of these unclean monkeys, these strange, savage lions and monsters? To what purpose are here placed these creatures, half beast, half man, or these spotted tigers? Surely, if we do not blush for such absurdities, we should at least regret what we have spent on them. Wandering past an old cathedral wall, where towers rise in pilgrimage to sky, where sculptured saints and stained glass windows call in unison to God, my wandering eye leaps up, and there at unexpected points perch griffins, saber-winged and lion-miened, near basilisks and imps with gristly joints uncoiling, bent on beating back some fiend that's trespassed brashly on these sacred grounds. Is all the power of the vast divine inadequate to guard this sanctum's bounds? Must shady centuries bastardize this shrine? These rude grotesques and gargoyles man their posts among the pinnacles and cherubim, enhanced in lustre by the heavenly hosts that gaze on them from every buttress brim. And yet these conscripts, strained with flex and thrust, popping eyes and snarling in assault, restive stills of anger, woe, or lust, their stone heads worrying the airy vault, spring up like chilblains from these spires of grace to meet the outer darkness with their dark, like caveats to consecrated space, like brutes to match the demons, bark for bark. So, yeah, so thank you. Thank you to Alexandra for sending in such a wonderful poem. And I was so sorry to hear that she is no longer with us and died in September. It's a wonderful poem to read, by the way. So now, Lizzie, it would be lovely to have you read. So your poem Octagonal sort of comes along next in the anthology. if Lizzie is here. Let me just check the gallery. Yes, I think you're on mute, Lizzie. You're still on mute, I'm afraid. I can see your little mic icon is crossed through.
Unmute.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
All is well.
Oh, I
All
couldn't
is well.
find the button. Sorry. I'm on page 113, right opposite Alexandra's poem that we've just heard, with Octagonal, a poem about a place I love very much in North Devon. It's a place where I sometimes go on retreat. Around me, air hums with folk songs on the wing, feathered pentatonics with 5 flying points, neat beak, 2 claws, 2 wingtips. Simple octagons, fish so familiar, silver in their 8-tone scales, sing up, voices casting up behind me through the eastern portico, the geometry of another day. Here I rest in the perfection of a croft over cliffs, over sheepfolds, hearth that holds me for a lifetime, appassionato. In this ash-beamed hall with its 4 great doors and 2 tall porticos translated from Gothic cathedral windows. In this ash-beamed hall below Arabic curlicues dipped in ebony and pearl-bellied house martins nesting outside under eaves. I will stand in beeswax scent at the high west window, eyes drawn out to the Celtic Sea, and beyond to Wales over a darkened, flat-lining horizon. Thank you.
Sorry, I was on mute myself then. Thank you so much. It was lovely to hear you, and bye to David who has to go. Thanks for coming and reading. Okay. Oh no, you didn't read, did you? Alas. Okay, another time. Okay. Right. Now Matthew Lyons emailed me to say he was hoping to attend, but I don't see him in the gallery. If I'm missing him, so let me know. Okay, we'll move on. Perhaps you can come later on. It's a shame. I love his poem about Ely Cathedral, reimagined as a light farm. Ely is quite near to Norwich, and I do know that cathedral. Anyway, that's for another time. And Catherine Clark says you've already read, but if you want to now read your poem that was in the sacred architecture section about St Mary's Abbey, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
It's a bit shorter.
Is it me?
It's Catherine Clark Sales.
Oh,
yes.
You have another one. Good. Sorry.
Yes, Catherine Shea, you're coming up, but not just yet.
St. Mary's Abbey, York. Stone blurs in snow through a darkened window space. Gray granite flecked with schist and spar. Tiny extravagance of mica. Thin settled diatoms in a drift of age, pressed like flowers into stone, chiseled into a conceit of lace, Gothic traceries of curve and arch, finial, flourish, missing roof and walls, empty ovals frame distant hills, green and waiting, infused with essence, distilled from hope, for something past the loneliness of death, beyond the names of faith, from time when Mary answered to a wilder name, and gods lived in rock and sky. Holiness in the meld of light and space met in vaulted stone. Buildings fade as bone long buried hardens into stone. Inessential falls away. Chiseled forms will blur, but solitude floats serene, and my faith unfurls from a fisted knot, as if a child's hand looses a tissue paper snowflake as she slips into sleep, perfect in belief, and tomorrow and tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a beautiful poem as well. And Julie, if you're now happy to return to the stage, as it were, and read out the last, then that finishes off the architecture section. If you're able to do
Yes.
that, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. This is called Up to Bathe. To Bathe is again in the parish of North Taunton in Mid Devon, and in 2023, the owner at To Bathe, which is a very legendary circular dip in the ground, which has always had a mysterious presence over the parish of North Taunton. The archaeologists recently have decided that they think it was a Roman amphitheatre, which was part of the very large Roman fort, which is in North Taunton. So I was able to go to the opening when they allowed people to go and visit for the first time. So it was quite exciting. You, at the ancient pool, who, like the others of your kin, want to read the future, reading the past, before your own skull, hollows of your eyes as stones, lies in its cage of bones, along with the already silenced crowd. Don't stop at the wall. See its thin illusion, walk through its invisible chink. Imagine yourself on the island, where cadavers are stirring with early autumn leaves. They grumble above where moles are making mountains. Waiting for the others to home in from the legends spelled in the Indian sun, and teas arrive. Swallows shalom beside the tractor shed against the sky. Then bathing on the wing, they gift high-wire theatrics back in the old barn's crossbeam crypt. Clairvoyance. They're delivering a modern-day mystery play, a tableau for our shambolic times. Darting across our field of vision, they swoop and chatter, performing a ritual finale before the flight up and away. Chosen to witness their singular performance, like the Indian sage, you must spell it out, watch them wing the code, listen to their pulsing trills. They twitter forgotten truths, as once the oracular priestess. Imagine descendants of those birds who, once dipping and twisting in air's swiveling energy fields, catch light in its currents, clear the fields of flies, worm the hollowed-out bowl, then dip and drink from the hallowed spring, wheeling lost infant souls into the bluest nether regions. On the red terraces, legionnaires gaze up, waiting for the right. They entreat Sulis, Minerva. The shades swell murmurations away into our Danomnian skies, far beyond the faraway moors. Thank you.
Sorry, put myself on mute again. Thank you so much, Julie. Wonderful. It's wonderful to have some of your poetry in this volume. Julie Sampson's very much a poet of place, I would say, and approaching with a range of forms and skills and styles. And yeah, lovely to have your work represented. Right, we are moving on to sacred times and holy hours. And Carolyn Shilton Casas, if you're here. Let's just, sorry, I'm just checking my list.
Here, Sarah.
Oh, you are here. Yes, I see you. Lovely. I would love to hear your poem.
Thank you.
And I'm to say what page it's on. I keep forgetting. Sorry.
It's on page 142.
Page 142. Thank you.
It's an honor to be here, and I very much enjoy hearing the rest of the poems. They sound even more beautiful when you hear them in the poet's voice. This poem, I'm a Reiki practitioner and teacher, and this poem is about energy healing practice and how you feel when you both give and receive energy healing. That space. Asleep with the senses awake, that liminal space between drowsiness and dreams where the energy takes me time and again. Minutes move slowly, life at a standstill, nowhere to be, nothing to do, only inhale and then gently exhale again. In a pocket of unknowing from which creation springs, I let go of what I think I know, unlearning and looking again. Saying yes to uncertainty, trusting in the mercy of a guiding source, a wink of assurance that there's time left to get it right.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so pleased to have that poem in the anthology and in that section. Actually, it's just yeah, in the right place. Lovely. And Joanne Durham, I think I saw your
Yes,
name
I'm
on my
here.
list. Wonderful. And you have also a poem in Sacred Times and Holy Hours, and it's Morning Walk, and it'd be lovely to hear it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
It's
and the
on
poem.
page 145, just a couple after the last one we heard. I live on the coast, the Atlantic coast in North Carolina, in US. And I walk on the beach almost every morning, and sometimes I walk right on the beach, and sometimes I walk on a path that goes sort of above the beach and above the rocks. And this poem was written one of those very, very lovely mornings. Morning walk. A woman balances on the rocks, arms wide, open to sea and sky. She slips hand above forehead to censor sun. Waves chant in silver tongues, spray anoints speech. Air carries in a single human voice, threading dawn's chorus. Seagrass guards wilding of fire wheels, no demand to trim or mow. Understanding between sun and dew makes wispy heads of plantains shine. Sand seeps between my toes. I touch millions of steps under mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Now we're moving on to the thin veil between life and death, which I find such a moving section to curate and put together and read. And we start that section with Dear Calhoun's poem, which would be lovely to have you read. Let's just get the page number. Yeah.
167.
Thank you. You got there before me. Thank you.
I just want to say I'm coming to you from about an hour and a half south of Seattle. It's where I am this morning. So, the butterfly intervention. And finally, insane for the light, you are the butterfly and you are gone. Goethe. They come for her, surround her, a shimmer, golden butterflies all around her, sometimes white when a wing upswept, ferocity of delicacy, filaments of gold weaving around her like Indra's net. They come for her. She scurries, packing. How many pairs of underwear, jeans, how much coffee? She throws books in a bag. How long will she be gone? Who will water the scraggly tree? A seedling growing in a blue pot on the windowsill. They come for her, a light on her shoulders, lifting dark curls. Where is she going? She has waited years to be wrapped in a golden net. So why now, in the uncanny current of air wing-swept, uncertainty? How let yourself dissolve, even a wrong name without whisper of a next? They come for her, more and more, a blur of butterflies pouring from a far wonderment of woods, deliquesce her even now, whether she went willing or not, no choice, with hands already turning to shimmer. They come for her. She drops her bags, cradles the seedling in a blue pot. All one need take to a place where you'll be watered by your own thirst. You.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for working with me on getting the setting of this poem right as well. For those of you who've got the book, it sort of butterfly-like, it kind of shimmers and iridescent across the page, and is in the right place there, I think. Okay. Now, Annette. Annette Grinseth, are you?
Hello. Hello.
You are wonderful.
Yes, I am here.
I'd love to hear your poem.
Okay. I am in Green Bay, Wisconsin, upper Midwest of the US. And it's just wonderful hearing poems from all over the world in different places.
Yeah, fantastic. Page 181 for Annette's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, page
That's
181. This is in regard to a dream I had. It's an actual dream, and I feel sometimes that that's the thin veil between. You get a visit from a loved one, so this is a visit. In my dream, Dad appears in this thin place between here and after at family camp. He looks through the wavy glass window of the cabin. He wears his familiar red and black plaid shirt. In this dream, I push on the window handle. It will not open, painted shut. From the other side, he smiles through the glass between us, says where he is beautiful, says he's fine, happy, and just wanted to see me. We press our hands together against the glass. Mine pulses, makes steam. His feels cool, like fog.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? I know it's a dream or a poem, a dream filtered through into a poem and vice versa, but it feels absolutely convincing to me.
It was so real. I'm just glad I found a home. Yeah, this was perfect. And the place that we go, that camp, is known as a thin place.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, earned its name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Okay. So we're moving on quite quick. So Matthew, I had Matthew down to read another poem, Matthew Downs, but if he's not here, that will have to be at another time. So he had a poem Listening to the Dead, which another very moving poem. So we're moving on in good time to the final section represented this evening, which is the Wholly Unexpected, which I apologise for the title. It must be one of those things that just appeared to me because I don't even remember conjuring it up. So anyway, the Wholly Unexpected, and it's a lovely section. And Kathy Shea, if you're happy to read the poem you have here.
Okay, so that's on page 199.
Thank you.
Display of Phalaenopsis orchids. They beckon me from the entry of the produce aisle, queued up as if they're hesitant to join the serious business of tomatoes, lettuce, and asparagus. Constrained in little ceramic pots, their long, coarse roots escape from the base of hidden stems, piled with leathery, oblong leaves shaped like rabbit ears. They seem ready to hop on stage for the role of a lifetime. From the overlapping foliage, each has a single stalk that swans upward and holds blossoms like can-can dancers spreading their skirts. These merciless, coquettish, orchidaceous flowers tease me. Their blooms are trying hard to lure me in lieu of a pollinator that is beyond my recognition, beyond any bee that exists in this makeshift space. Suppose I could open myself to unfettered possibilities, kiss these orchids with a rouged moth mouth. Now I'm so distracted from my urgent list of ingredients. I'm about to load my cart with them. I must get a hold of myself. Why am I here in the first place?
That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. I think that poem has definitely earned its place, ending with the appropriate word and full of surprise and yeah, and why not in the supermarket? Absolutely. Okay, and Maura, I think your poem's sort of next door, isn't it? But Maura Harrison, if you're happy to read your pantoum. Yes,
Thank you.
200.
Yes, thank you. Page 200. And yes, it is a pantoum. So the lines 2 and 4 of each stanza become lines 1 and 3 of the next stanza. Wavering wonder wrought. All other places drift apart, and distance distracts, obscura thick and wandering. But lucid light, a bright revealing veil, remakes opaque and thins. Transparency distracts obscura, thick and wandering, with signs and sights. A sudden single sigh remakes opaque and thins transparency with weave of mystery, transcendent heat, with signs and sights. A sudden single sigh is wavering, wonder wrought with faithfulness, with weave of mystery. Transcendent heat becomes mirage, a rippling rip comprised of wavering wonder wrought with faithfulness. All other places drift apart, and distance becomes mirage, a rippling rip comprised of lucid light, a bright, revealing veil.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's so musical hearing you read it like that. So yeah, lovely to hear. And you definitely win the prize for the best background bookshelves of the evening. I'm kind of wanting to see what's there. Okay. Danielle Thomas, did I see you there?
I'm here.
Wonderful.
I'm here,
Okay,
yes.
just so it's She Being Holy Ghost. Just remind me what page.
I am on page 211.
That's it.
And
Thank you.
it's so nice hearing everyone's poems. And thank you, Sarah. I'm so glad to be in this anthology with all these wonderful poems. I'm in Santa Barbara, California. I grew up in the Midwest, which explains the snow in the poem. And my poem is called Intimations. Twice now, I've felt it. The first time I was driving in a snowstorm. Snow swirled in the headlights. Snow covered the trees that stretched above, their white boughs forming an arch that turned the road into a softly flurried tunnel. The second time, I was on a small town street called Puesta del Sol, with the sun pouring through palm and eucalyptus leaves. The whole road lit with the same gauzy light as that snowy night. And both times, I felt myself begin to glide, like a frictionless slide on a long river of ice, traversing a luminous channel, a pipeline of light, where bright, calm, endless time opened wide on the other side.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. That poem really ends beautifully, doesn't it? Thank you. Yeah. All right. Now, we're more or less finished actually, but David, did I see you have returned to the evening? I saw David.
I am here.
You
Yes.
are here. Are you happy
Hi.
in that case to conclude the listed schedule anyway, with your poem She Being Holy Ghost, which is on page 214? That would be wonderful.
Yes.
Thank
I'd be
you.
honored to finish. I want to say thank you on behalf of everybody here on your arrangement of the poems. I can't remember who it was that said the arrangement of poems in any selection is a poem itself. But
oh, I like that. Yes. Well, just like many a poem, they kind of did themselves, which it was a good sign, I thought. Yeah, kind of wrote itself.
You may hear echoes of Catherine Clark Sale's poem in mine. I'm going to make a quick comment about my first and last line, if I may. And that is that near Chattanooga, Tennessee, there is an attraction called Rock City. I'm in North Carolina on a rainy afternoon, but in the North Carolina mountains, it's common to see the tops of barns adorned with a sign that says Sea Rock City. And my comment about the last line is that it uses an idiom that is usually a little bit exasperation expressed when you use it, but I didn't mean it in this sense. So this is She Being Holy Ghost, page 214. Past Rock City and the cattle on 1,000 hills, broken trees poked through the gray wool of the late winter mountainside, waiting for rapture to seize the dogwoods below them. Stones lie scattered like pillows in white water, bleeding out into the calmness, spooling under the footbridge across the Davidson, where trout float all day in the shadows, facing upstream toward Pisgah, and beyond, the back country called Shining Rock, thick bears. And she, being Holy Ghost, is neither hawk nor wind under wing, is not turn of leaf and laurel thicket, nor any of the 1,000 shades of green shadowed by clouds rolling over balds, nor any shadow passing swiftly across the land. She's not bare, or scent of bear, nor chill prickling the hiker's neck, seeing the hunt shape too big to be dog. She is not the pause between the spondees of the quickened heart, nor the synapses firing muscles for flight. Not the dimple in the water where the mayfly lands, nor the shimmer of the rising trout. Is not the sweeping in the towns below at day's end across worn tiles of barber shops, nor the young girls circling the camp meeting ground each fall in threes and fours, eyeing boys. Neither babies cry nor moss on tombstones, neither the darting nor the dimming of eyes. Yet without her, there is no telling.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. I'm so glad you came back to read that to kind of conclude the listed readings. It's kind of very very evocative. It's apophatic yet evocative of place, time, and human experience at the same time. So yeah, great poem. All right. So this is a first. I've actually finished on time. I think so. Those who emailed me saying they'd be happy to read have read, apart from people who haven't been able to make it. So we are almost out of time, but we have just under 10 minutes. And I am happy if anyone wants to read anything, if you feel that you haven't had sufficient opportunity to do that in the past, or I can just switch us to gallery view, which I've got here for recording purposes, and we can have a brief discussion, or you might want to or you might need to slip off at this stage. Anything is fine by me. Thanks ever so much for chat messages, which I've been doing my best to keep on top of. Yeah, and it is kind of wonderful. It's just amazing that we are from so many different places, really. An anthology about places. Perhaps I shouldn't be so amazed, but I am. So in terms of place and space and time, and yet here we are, this single point, reading and listening. Question from dear Sarah, what is your next anthology project? With a thumbs up from somebody. Okay, I have lots of ideas. It'll be the downfall of me, I think. I have thought I would really like to do an anthology on poetry and prayer, opening those terms up for wide interpretation and reflection and play and exploration. So I have thought that. I have also thought that I am I'm up to here with things that I've said I'm going to do and I haven't done them yet. So I may set that into motion next year if people might be interested in it. I also have some other ideas of things to do with Amethyst Press along the lines of anthologies or gatherings of poetry, perhaps slightly larger gatherings of poetry by individual poets, and I'm thinking about that and sketching plans. So I will keep you informed. I'm also publishing a novel, actually, by a writer friend of mine who I've known for many years, called Jane Liffin, and her novel is called The Slipper Chapel, which is a reference to a long-established shrine here in Norfolk in the UK, in Walsingham. So we've just put the ebook together, and I'm just working with my cover designer contact on a cover for the print book. So I will advertise that in the usual places and let you know. So I'm seeing where the spirit leads me. But it has been such a pleasure to put the anthologies together, and extremely affirming as well. I mean, it's it takes a bit of doing. It's been a pleasure, as I've said previously, until perhaps the last few weeks, when it was more of a white knuckle ride, when I was so worried about formatting and all sorts of things. But I found a way through, and very glad I did. I'm happy to take suggestions. To be honest, I received so many poems, I could easily do a part 2 of in places. Yes, Maura, you were going to say, do jump in, do unmute yourself and jump in.
Hi. Oh, I just saw that I don't know if I'm going to say sister's name correctly. Johanna Catton is here, and I was wondering if she could read her poem on 169. That's my request. I heard her read at another reading, and I like her voice and her cadence. So just a request. Hi, sister.
Lovely to hear if you're happy to read again, Sister Joanna.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't planning on reading because I had read at the other gatherings. And it was wonderful to just listen to everyone and not be worried with the butterflies before my own reading. But thank you for asking. I'm happy to read. Sorry, you wanted the one on 169? Is that the one? Okay. So this is The Color of Bread. She was never known to wear matched socks. She unhitched conduct from call with glee and paired liberty with liability like a white water rafter. Old now and dying, she was at last a model of childlike trust, this unusual Benedictine nun. We prayed at her bedside, waiting for the coming and the going. Her body was wafer thin, the color of bread. She whispered thanks for the tiny wet sponge on a stick we gave her to suck, the wipe of water on dry lips. Her room was filled with presents. It hovered in the sunlight, fluttering on her soft quilt, quivering through the trees at the window, shadow and light like harp strings vibrating to the remembered melody that was her life. Notes suffering the unknown air like restless hands that yearned to play the music of her silent release.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much for reading. What a beautifully lyrical poem. Lovely to hear it again.
Thank you for asking. I was delighted.
Okay. Any other comments? So rather randomly, it was lovely to have so many readers from the sacred architecture section. Actually, I'm not sure we'd given that justice in the past. And of course, Sister Johnny, you've got a poem in there as well, which is lovely. But yes, that's a section I've enjoyed looking at again this afternoon in preparation. Interestingly, James Harper, who isn't here with us, but he's got a poem in that section, also about a gargoyle, because I read Alexandra's poem about gargoyles, but David Harper's also got one, and his latest collection, I think, is about gargoyles. So interesting little flashlight on them, and strange keepers of the space. All right. Okay, well, as I said, let me know suggestions. I'm very suggestible when it comes to poetry projects. Your suggestion will likely be met with enthusiasm. So we'll see what we do. And thank you so much, everyone, as well, for supporting Amethyst Review, which is the online literature journal dedicated to new writing engaging with the sacred, the spiritual, and the sacred, which I started 7 years ago now. 7 years have gone very quickly. So that was I was propelled into my minor publishing endeavor by the advent of what you call a big birthday, and of course 7 years along, a future big birthday is on the horizon. So I'm wondering what to do for that one. I would quite like to create some anthologies, sort of poems already published in Amethyst Review, and I thought of doing that quite a few times and never quite had the time to select things, but I should add that to submissions guidelines in future, that I would bear submitted poems in mind for a future Amethyst Review selection. As you may also have noticed, that submissions for Amethyst Review, I've switched them now to a submissions manager called Duosoma, which I hope is fairly user-friendly, free to submit, and I've put the cap on 100 a month because I was overwhelmed. It was a privilege to be overwhelmed, but since the pandemic, actually, the number of people submitting poetry to the journal, and poetry that I really wanted to spend time with as well, that I was thinking, well, yes, I'd like to do that again, and I'd publish it, has really increased, which I consider not so much anything to do with me, but perhaps more to do with people really searching just that little bit harder for ways to express their relationship with the sacred, and perhaps finding poetry a helpful and nourishing medium to do that, which I think is wonderful in its own way. So I shall continue to do that, and submissions reopen on January the 1st. Okay, well, I'm happy to wrap this up, and I should cease